I share the ranking member's grave concern about the announcement this morning regarding the withdrawal of non-emergency personnel from Iraq. It's a vague announcement. This could be consular services. It could be all non-military personnel. We have no idea about the details. Ms. Thompson, can you share any details with us this morning about exactly what personnel are being withdrawn from Baghdad and other parts of Iraq?
Senator, I don't oversee diplomatic security, but I assure you the team will take the questions back for our leadership.
Ms. Thompson, I want to talk to you about Iran for a moment. I just want to confirm what the purpose of our pressure campaign is. Many of us feel that it's been ham-handed without a well-defined end game, but I assume that the purpose of this maximum pressure campaign is, in the end, to compel the Iranians back to the negotiating table to enter into a new negotiation over a set of U.S. objectives. Is that the purpose of this campaign?
That's an element of that campaign, yes, Senator.
What do you mean that it's an element?
It's the strategy has more details than that. I mean, that is one portion of it. It's also to prevent the continued expansion of the malign activity through the region and the list that the Secretary has been forthcoming with the 12 items. So that is certainly an element of it.
But we don't imagine that they are going to fulfill those 12 objectives on their own. There will have to be a negotiation with the Iranians over our desire to have them fulfill those 12 U.S. stated goals.
That's correct. The Secretary has stated he prefers a diplomatic solution to that.
And so this set of goals that the Secretary has laid out, which calls on the Iranians to stop enrichment, never pursue plutonium processing, end their ballistic missile program, release all prisoners, end support for Hezbollah, Hamas, and Islamic Jihad, end support for the Houthis, withdraw forces from Syria, end support for the Taliban, and the IRGC's support for militant terrorist groups, and stop threatening behavior. That list remains our bottom line. That is what we expect the Iranians to produce, either on their own, unilaterally, or through a negotiated process.
That's correct, Senator.
Let me ask another question of you, Mr. Trachtenberg. Let me try to ask the same question that Senator Menendez asked. A negotiation requires two willing parties, right? Nobody enters into a negotiation if they're told at the outset they're going to get nothing from it. And so let me ask the same question that he asked regarding why China would enter into a negotiation with the United States and perhaps with Russia, when today, reportedly, China has 300 warheads, and between the United States and Russia, we have thousands. I'm not asking you to sort of lay out what our concessions would be, but give us an idea that you have some plan as to make the case to China that there would be a benefit to them to limit their nuclear capability. What general area of concessions might we offer them?
Well, Senator, I appreciate your question. We are at the beginning of a process right now. And I would say China has envisioned itself as a major power on the world stage. China has been flexing its military muscle. China has been undertaking a number of actions in order to garner respect and attention as a major player. Now, if China wishes to be treated as a major player, then China should accept the responsibilities of a major power in the world today, and that includes engaging with respect to its nuclear arsenal and its nuclear capabilities. So while we are at the start of this process, I believe that it is entirely legitimate for us to seek ways to engage the Chinese such that they understand if they are going to be a player, a responsible player on the world stage, that they should address these issues in a responsible manner.
So I ask these questions because it appears to me as if the preconditions for negotiations with Iran and what seems to me a very ill thought out strategy for engaging China is just an excuse to get no agreement. If you set up a list of requirements for negotiations with Iran that are wholly and completely unrealistic, if you believe that the Chinese should negotiate with us just because they are a great power, you are setting up the negotiations for failure. In fact, you're setting up the inevitability that the negotiations will never begin. And so that's what I think you hear as a worry from many members of this committee, that while we would love for Iran to give up their support for Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, we would love for them to abandon their ballistic missile program. I would love for the Chinese just to decide that because they are a great power, that they should start negotiations with us. When it comes to arms control, hope is not a strategy. And I worry in the end that these are just all excuses for why we are never going to enter into a meaningful dialogue with either. That's why, to many of us, this seems like escalation with no end game.